Now let's talk about something that I find very exciting, why you may need a DI box. First thing I want to do is provide a bit of context. What is DI? It is direct injection. It allows you to capture the output of an instrument which is high impedance, and then you are able to use that raw signal later. So I'm going to play a DI signal, and then I will play a signal that is run through a guitar amp so you understand what we're talking about. Now on to the question of why you may need an external DI box, because most audio interfaces nowadays do have DI functionality. You can plug your guitar or bass or instrument or high impedance source directly into them and have no issues. So why would you need some kind of external box which costs you additional money? First off, perhaps your interface does not allow for high impedance inputs. A perfect example of this is the Lewitt Connect 6. I'll go ahead and include another sample here. This is going to show you what happens if you connect a high impedance source like a guitar to an input which is not set up to accept a high impedance source. It rolls off all the top end information. Here's a sample of that. So if your interface doesn't have DI functionality, an external direct injection box is going to solve that problem. It converts high impedance input sources to a mic level signal. Then you just run that mic level output into your microphone preamp. Bingo, bango, bongo, you're good to go. You got the DI signal. The second reason is the reason that I find so exciting, this entire thing so exciting. Because not only do these DI boxes allow you to input an instrument and then output into your interface, but it also has a throughput. This means you plug your guitar into the input, you connect the microphone output to your interface, and then you connect the throughput to your guitar amp. What that is going to allow you to do is capture the DI signal, the raw guitar output, while also miking up a guitar cab and capturing that. That may not be exciting to you, but for me, that's just super cool because in many cases, I have recorded a guitar thinking, oh, this sounds so good. And then a week or two later, I think, oh, no, it doesn't. That sounds terrible. Had I recorded the DI signal as well as the amp, I would have been able to rectify that. I would have been able to send that DI signal out of my interface into something called a reamp box, which converts, I believe, line level to high impedance, and then you run that into your guitar amp and then mic up the guitar cab, and you can capture a completely new guitar tone. Had I done that in the past, it would have saved me so many headaches as opposed to saying, wow, this guitar tone sucks. Let me just spend a week and a half trying to EQ it to make it sound better because I don't want to play it again. So just that alone is exciting enough for me. I went back and found stems from my band's recording 15, 17 years ago, something like that. The engineer was nice enough to use a DI box, and he captured the DI signal of the guitars and the bass. And listening back to those recordings, I am glad he did because our amp tones were awful. They are some of the worst amp tones I have ever heard. I don't know why anybody allowed us to record with them. It didn't slap us across the face and say, what are you doing? This sounds terrible. But because we have those DI signals, we would now be able to send that signal back through a guitar amp and get a completely different tone that sounds better. That is what is most exciting to me. But then I thought about how this could actually apply to Podcastage, my main channel. I think this would actually be extremely beneficial. Excuse me. Extremely beneficial when I am doing microphone comparisons. Because in the past, when I do mic comparisons, I will play the guitar and mic up the cab. That's one recording. Then I will change out the microphone, play the same thing again, and then compare the sound quality. Not only are you hearing the differences in the microphone, you are also hearing minor changes in how I'm performing, because I am not a robot, despite what anybody may say, despite what anybody may believe or think or have proof of. I am not a robot, so I don't play perfectly. I don't play the same thing exactly the same twice. That was a terrible sentence. I am a robot. I am not a robot. So having this DI signal recorded on my computer would allow me to reamp the exact same performance through the same amp, through the same pedals, same tone, same everything. And the only thing that would change then would be the actual microphone placement or the actual microphone. And I think that's something that Pags over at MEI Studio does, because in his microphone samples, I think it's the same performance every single time. So this is something that I should have been doing a long time ago, but only just recently thought about it and said, hey, why don't you do that? So that is why you may need a DI box, why you may want a DI box, what kind of benefits you could get. This is a special DI box. This is the Rupert Neve Designs RNDI. This does what every DI box does and allows you to capture a high Z input and convert it to mic level. But what this has is a speaker setting, which allows you to send through up to 1,000 watts, I believe. So you could actually run this in between the guitar head and the speaker, and then capture the direct sound out of the amp, and then in post, use some kind of impulse response for a different cab to get the sound of a mic'd up guitar cab without having to worry about the bleed. So if you're doing a live performance and you have a bunch of sounds going on around you, like a drummer, like a bassist, and you don't want that being picked up in the recording, you could put this in between the amp head and the guitar cab and capture that, and then simulate the guitar cab in post. I don't think all DI boxes do that, and that's kind of special with this one. So that is the DI box that I have been playing around with. I need to get a reamp box because I don't have that yet. So I have not been able to actually put this practice to the test. I have used Radial Engineering quite a bit. I have come to rely on them and trust their gear, so I'll probably stick with Radial. But if anybody has recommendations for a good reamping box, let me know in the comments, because I want to just buy it once and buy it right.